Hello everyone, and welcome to notes number 2. Let me just get this up and running. So today we're going to be learning about enzymes. We just briefly mentioned enzymes in notes number 1. And then we're going to be talking about enzymes in the digestive system and the digestive system in general. The first thing that we need to do in order to talk about enzymes is talk about chemical reactions. Reactions start with something and end with something. They're making it. So reactants are a fancy term for what you start with in a reaction. Products are what is being made. Think of the final product, say in shop class. It's what you make or turn in at the end. So reactants are going to combine or break apart to make products. The arrow in a chemical reaction shows which way the reaction is going. So for example, if we're trying to make a water molecule, we have two hydrogens and oxygen, and they're combining to make water. So here's what this reaction is showing right here. Hydrogen plus oxygen equals H2O. So here we have another chemical reaction. C6H12O6 plus O2, arrow going that way, makes carbon dioxide, CO2, and water, H2O. So here you would have to know what are the reactants and what are the products. Reactants are what you start with. So what you start with is not where the arrow is pointing, but where the arrow starts. So right here, these are our reactants. These are what we start with. And this is what we're making. The arrow is showing what we're making. Now, every chemical reaction takes some amount of energy in order to get started. We call this activation energy. Think about if you have to activate a credit card or activate your phone. You have to start it up, make sure it's working. Reactions are the same way. We need some energy put in to start the reaction. So here we have a chart that shows the activation energy. Here we have our reactants. What we start with, we put in energy in order to get our final products. So think of it like sledding. Sledding is really fun in the winter, but the hardest part is that you have to climb to the top of the hill in order to get the fun going down. You have to put in energy in order to have fun. Now what a catalyst does, or what enzymes do, is they lower that hill for you. So they are going to decrease the amount of energy needed to get there. So if they're decreasing it, you're walking up the hill faster and having more fun. Faster, having more fun. They're speeding up the chemical reaction. Enzymes are catalysts. They speed up reactions in living organisms without being used up. They're going to speed things up, and they can be used 5 minutes later, an hour later, a year later. They don't disappear. So here we have that same graph with the black showing the original walk up the hill that you're sledding on. And here in red we have what it looks like with an enzyme. You can see that that hill is lowered. So the reaction is going to happen faster because you don't have to walk up as high. Here's how enzymes work. Here's an enzyme in green, and it works on a substrate. A substrate is a fancy term for the reactants, or the things that you're starting with. So here in orange we have a substrate, something that's going to be broken down. And you can see that there is a specific shape here and a specific shape on the enzyme. Enzymes only work on specific substrates. So here we can see it bonds and it's going to break that orange molecule apart, and those are the final products, what are being made. Okay, so that groove is called an active site. It's a specific groove that bonds to the substrate. Okay, so say we're talking about this enzyme here in light blue. This light blue enzyme right here can only fit with this dark blue enzyme right here because it's the same shape. So enzymes are highly specific. You can't just bond any two together. They have to fit. So it's kind of like a lock and key, right? Each lock and each key has specific grooves that allow you to open the door, but you can't use your house key and try to start your car with it. It just won't work. Enzymes are the same way. When we look at enzymes and their name, usually they're named for the reaction that they're speeding up. So for example, lactase is the enzyme that helps break down lactose. They're named very similar. Remember, we learned earlier, anything in OSC is a sugar. This is the sugar that's found in milk. So if you're lactose intolerant, you do not have this enzyme lactase. Something is missing in your body, and it is lactase. Also, enzymes usually end in ASE. So OSE are sugars, ASE are enzymes. So amylase, DNA polymerase, catalase, lactase are all enzymes. So it's an easy way on the MCAS to ask for that. If something ends in ASE, they're assuming that you know that it's an enzyme. So what three letters are usually used as a suffix? What ending are enzymes? OSE, ASE, AES, or YME? The answer is ASE. So to summarize up that portion, chemical reactions need energy in order to happen. That's called the activation energy. And enzymes are a type of protein that lower that activation energy, and that makes the reaction happen faster. It speeds up the reaction. Enzymes are highly specific. They have those certain grooves, that active site that is only going to bond with certain things. This is going to lead us into the digestive system. The digestive system is what it means to eat and break down your food. So the digestive system is all about breaking down molecules so that it can be used by your cells for energy. There's two types of digestion, mechanical and chemical. An easy way to remember the difference between the two is chemical digestion uses chemicals, like enzymes, to break things down. Mechanical is the physical tearing of food. So think about eating something. The first place it goes is your mouth, and your teeth and your tongue form mechanical digestion. They're physically tearing the food apart. Here are our major organs of the digestive system. We have your mouth, obviously where it starts, your salivary glands, which are helping to produce saliva. Your pharynx is a fancy word for throat. Your esophagus is this long tube that's going to be leading to your stomach. It doesn't look like it's leading to your stomach in this picture, but the stomach sits right behind the liver. Once it's in the stomach, then it's going to go into the small intestine, and then finally into the large intestine. Now you can also see other things that are labeled here, such as the pancreas, the liver, and the gallbladder. Food does not go through these organs, but these organs help to digest things by secreting different enzymes and different molecules that are going to help break down food. But again, food does not go through these. So we're going to skip to the stomach, because the stomach is the first part that is really going to start more physically breaking things down. Obviously, it's the storage place, but it's also going to be physically turning your food. You actually have 3 layers of muscle in your stomach that are all going to be moving different ways to twist and turn the food to break it down. But there's also chemical digestion. Think about when you throw up and you feel that acid on your esophagus. That acid is helping to break down food. So once it's in the stomach and your food is broken down into that liquidy mixture in your stomach is called chyme. Fancy word. From your stomach, you're going to move into your small intestine. Now, believe it or not, your small intestine is the most important part. Most people would think the stomach is the most important part, but no. The small intestine is the most important because these are where most things are broken down completely, and it is where things are absorbed into our blood so that we can use it for energy. The reason why things are digested here into small things are because of the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. The pancreas and liver and gallbladder, remember, do not have food in them, but they are going to secrete special liquids that are going to help digest your food. Your small intestine has 3 different parts, and they're named duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. They're divided into separate parts to show what happens at each part. In the first part, you're not going to absorb anything because it's still too large, so you're going to focus on digesting it still. The next part, you're still going to be digesting your food into smaller molecules, but you're also going to start absorbing nutrients. And in the last part, you're all done digesting. Now you got to make sure that you have all of your nutrients absorbed into your blood. So, the small intestine is the most important part of the digestive system because this is where the breakdown of food is completed. The enzymes from the pancreas are released into the small intestine to help break things down, to speed up the chemical reactions. And the small intestine is also really important because this is where the nutrients are absorbed into the blood. The small intestine, believe it or not, even though it's called small, is 6 meters long. And the reason why it's called small is not because it's short, it's really, really long, but because it's really thin compared to the large intestine. What's really cool about the small intestine is because it's so long and so thin, if you looked into the surface, the inside of the small intestine, you would see these little finger-like projections. And the reason why we have these little finger-like projections is so that we have more surface area, so food can be absorbed here and here and here and here and here and here, instead of just having a flat surface like this. There's more areas for nutrients to come in to the blood. It's kind of like a shag rug. Here we have a picture of it. So if we zoom into the small intestine, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, we can see what looks like a finger, and it has our blood vessels right here, so the nutrients just literally get absorbed right into the blood and go where it's needed to go. The large intestine is where we're going to be forming our fecal matter. So unless you want diarrhea, we need to absorb any excess water back into our blood. So the main function of the large intestine is for water to be put back into the blood, to be reabsorbed. And then, once the water is gone, we can compact all of the undigested food into feces. There are also really important bacteria in your large intestine, some of which are producing the smelly gas that you fart out. But a lot of them are important for absorbing nutrients. The accessory organs are the organs where food does not pass through but are important. We've already mentioned these before. The liver, which is this large organ here, one of the largest organs in your body. The gallbladder, which is attached to the liver. And the pancreas, right here. The pancreas, what does it do? The pancreas is really important for producing all sorts of molecules. They produce sodium bicarbonate, which makes the stomach acid less acidic. You don't want your small intestine to just rot away. So what happens is the pancreas is going to release things into the small intestine to make it not as acidic. It also has various enzymes, such as carbohydrases, which are breaking down carbohydrates, lipases, which are breaking down lipids, and proteolytic enzymes, which are breaking down proteins. Remember, those are our organic molecules we learned about earlier. The liver is really important for producing something that's called bile. Bile is green, and it is helping to break down fats. So the liver is what actually makes bile, this large organ right here. This gallbladder right here is what stores bile. So the bile that's made here is going to travel into the gallbladder or directly into the small intestine if it's needed right away. Bile is going to help break down our fats. Basically, if we have large molecules of fats, it's hard to break down. So what bile does is it surrounds the fats and breaks them down into smaller and smaller pieces. So now these small pieces right here are very easy to break apart. The gallbladder, again, is this pear-shaped organ that was attached to the liver. and it is what is going to be storing bile and releasing it when needed into the small intestine. So to summarize it all up, the alimentary canal, this is a fancy word for where food passes, is the following. Food is going to first enter your mouth. Then it is going to go into your throat or your pharynx. Then it's going to go down the long tube called the esophagus into your stomach. Then from your stomach to your small intestine, and then to your large intestine, and finally out the rectum and into the toilet. The accessory organs where food does not go through but still help to digest food are your pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. All of the organs of the digestive system work together to break down food into smaller parts that can be used by cells. And that's it.